Between Vowels. I'm Baker Machado. Yeah, I had to kick out Kristen Schiller and Tim Stenovic for this. Very excited. Our next guest is one of Entertainment Weekly's Entertainers of the Year. He's a Golden Globe nominee for his role in the Assassination of Gianni Versace, which also won him an Emmy already this year. We're pleased to be joined by Darren Criss here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. His very first time.
Hello, it's my first time. I was just saying, this is like a historic place, and you go, God, so many awful,
crazy things,
depressing things have happened here.
Have you ever thought in your interview, in your life, that you would be doing an interview at a place like this?
No, definitely not. I always thought, you're right, I guess the internet has changed it, but if I came here, I always thought it'd be people shouting things I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But this was like the birthplace of the country going wrong several times.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't go so wrong today.
So you've had a very wild year. I mean, think of all the way back to when Versace first started. You won an Emmy. Now you're a Golden Globe nominee.
Yeah, man.
Talk about how crazy this year has been for you.
You just nailed it. I mean, it's sort of a rhetorical question. It's just crazy. I don't know how else to put it. It is just crazy. It has, it's a lot bigger than me, which is always a nice reminder. If I single-handedly did all of this, then I'd be like really, really super duper duper proud and really smug about it. But no, it has to do with a lot of things that are so out of my control. It has to do with hundreds of artisans that write and work behind and in front of the camera, and there's so many variables that I can't determine. You know, you could still make a great show, but nobody watches it, and so I'm just so thankful that it went half as decent as it did.
Well, and the show was almost like a perfect storm for you, because you're right. The directing was amazing, the writing was great, the rest of the cast was incredible. But you actually said in your interview with Entertainment Weekly that this was one of the greatest roles. Andrew Kanaan was one of the greatest roles you've ever played. Why is that?
Well, I will say, at least on this scale, I've played a lot of great roles. I got to do Hedwig and the Angry Inch for the Hedwig
which is
fans.
amazing.
I will say that's one of the great ones, but that's also a role that I didn't get to originate. I just got to kind of don that. But without comparing things, there's a huge irony here. I mean, it's not lost on me that this is it's a great role because of the complexity and because of so many things that we're talking about, and it's a great role because it's a part of a great project and a great story. However, like I said, it's not lost on me that it has to do with somebody who's famous for doing something very, very deplorable and completely unsavory. And would I be here had those things, not happened? And so you have to kind of wrap your brain around the concept of like, look, I'd like to think if I was in some position to stop these tragedies, I'd like to think that I would have tried, but because I can't, and I can't go back in time, all I can do is try and embody this story and this character in a way that we can try to ask important questions and question ourselves and try to move the wheel in some kind of positive way to spin some kind of discernible positivity out of something that is very, very dark.
Right.
This isn't for just exploiting something that is a very interesting tale, and a very, there's sex and there's drama and there's violence. There's kind of all the makings of the great things that interest us as a human race, but I don't want it to sort of end there. The thing that makes it such a great role is the questions and the social issues it brings up, and that's, to me, is
well, really because also we know you on all these really great positive roles, like on Glee and so many other things. Do you think because Andrew Kanaan is such a dark character, does that make the Emmy win so much better for you? Because you're playing something that we were very unfamiliar with for you.
No, I don't. In fact, I really don't like that. Yeah, what makes Andrew interesting is not that he's dark, because that's too basic. What makes darkness dark is because there's light somewhere in there. What makes someone bright is that the comedy and drama masks live famously very close to each other, and darkness does not greatness make or interesting make. If you want to talk darkness, we can talk like Bond villains and superhero villains. That's very cut and dry. What makes him a real person and a real character is the juxtaposition and the complication of what makes somebody dark. How much of it is in their hands, how much is not, and at what point could this have been you or I or me? And it's the complications and the things that are not so black and white, this huge tapestry of other colors in between. That's what makes this interesting to me, and that's where I'm gratified that people are interested in watching it. You may have been or may not have been familiar with other things that I had done, but for people that are coming to the show never having seen anything else before, I'd be curious to know what they liked about it without any context of my previous work. And I'd like to think it's hopefully this sort of experience of the other colors that they, maybe didn't think they would get to see in one character, and that's really what the most exciting part about that role is.
Well, I mean, it was an incredible role. You did such a good job on it. What were the emotions you were going through when you got the Golden Globe nomination just recently, just within a?
I was on tour. I was in the UK, and I'm an Anglophile, so you'll find me at a variety of English pubs all the time. So I was with my friends with the band, and was with Leah, and I found out because we went out. It was sort of mid-afternoon when I was having lunch in one of my favorite parts of the English countryside with some of my favorite people, and got ourselves a nice pint.
My God, that's a good way to celebrate.
That was a great way to celebrate.
So you just mentioned, Leah, you guys were on tour, a world tour that you guys are doing together. Tell us a little bit about that.
We did North America, we did West Coast. It's been sort of sporadic throughout this past year, but we did a East Coast sort of Midwest thing earlier on, and then we did a West Coast thing, and then we just did UK, Ireland, Scotland just this last week. So we kind of do it more we can, and it's a blast. I enjoy performing with Leah. We have a great sort of relationship where it's this sort of Laurel and Hardy thing that we have. Well, maybe not that. Maybe Donnie Marie might be a little more apt, but I can't put myself on their level. But it's fun sharing these songs, both from my career, her career, our shared love of Broadway, and obviously our shared career on Glee, and getting to meet people all over the world that have really allowed us and the characters we played and the stories that we told into their hearts and minds. And it feels like you're celebrating something much bigger than the show itself.
All right, we also going to talk about your partnership that you got going on with Clorox as well.
Yes.
This is a really amazing thing that's going on.
It is very cool. I have to say, I'm very weary about, in this day and age where you can kind of see through a lot of stuff than we used to, and especially with actors and connections to brands and stuff. And so I'm very discerning about this kind of stuff. And Clorox was nice enough to invite me along for this really wonderful initiative that they're launching called the What Comes Next project. And this really hit kind of close to home, and so I'm genuinely excited to be a part of this. It's this initiative that is highlighting the work of a lot of youth leaders that have made positive impact on their communities through the power of cleaning. And I think it's the artist's heart in me that is always looking at what is the thing behind the thing we're looking at. So obviously there's Clorox and cleaning supplies, etc. But the thing that is really valuable is, what does that mean? What happens next after you clean space? What does that mean emotionally and spiritually? And what these kids are doing is they are doing everything from providing free laundry days for homeless folks in their community, or cleaning animal shelters to help out with animal rescue and animal adoption, or cleaning donated clothes to give out to their communities. These are all things that sort of set the landscape for new beginnings and to create a white canvas for success for people, where a very simple thing like cleaning actually gives a whole lot more to build a community. And that was very moving to me, especially that it was spearheaded by young people, so I like shedding a light on them. And I've always been a proponent of youth leadership and community service, so I'm so happy to be a part of this. And we're highlighting about 5 young people, but you can learn more about them, and hopefully more young people will be highlighted, and you can find out about them on whatcomesnextproject.com. So I love getting to be inspired by these guys. They make me look really bad.
What makes
I sing and dance and act like characters on TV. You're like, man, I really got to do
right, we have to step up our game.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. We're really pulling for you for the Golden Globe as well. And congratulations on the Emmy
so
win
much,
as
man.
well. Darren Criss joining us here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange here on Cheddar. And a whole lot more between bells is coming up next, guys. Don't go anywhere.